Man, this brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Yeah. I still remember the first time I went in there and spent my first time in it during Halloween night.
Yeah, and you were shaking all over, being a wuss about how you were so scared about going in Old Man Jones's house. Everybody was so scared about this place being haunted because of all those weird noises kids around here would hear at night. Did you really think it was haunted?
I mean, I always thought it was haunted. It makes sense when looking at it. Creepy old house, weird history behind it, and weird stuff happening there. Just always made sense to me back then.
I like to think it's haunted. It was like the only cool, weird thing that ever happened around here. Well, as far as I knew anyways. But I don't think it was really haunted.
Come on. You're telling me, even after going in that house, when you were like 12 in the middle of the night, and you still don't believe in the old Jones Manor legend? You must have had something weird happen to you there.
Oh yeah, I had weird noises alright. Noises of some stupid teens getting it on in there. Seriously, who does that in a place like that?
Wow, you never told me that you found that.
I was young and embarrassed, okay? You would be too if you came upon that mess. You know what I really want to find? Something like with what happened at Mudhouse Mansion. Man, now that was a haunted house. Let me tell you a thing or two about it. Mudhouse Mansion is a haunted house located outside Lancaster, Ohio. According to locals in Lancaster, the house was built in the early 1800s by a government official who lived there after the Civil War. The man still kept slaves in Mudhouse Mansion, even though it was illegal. It seems this man didn't abide by the law and kept his slaves locked up in an outbuilding at night. He treated his slaves very poorly, and conditions were so bad that one slave started building a tunnel underneath the wall of the outbuilding. He dug a little every night after the lights of the mansion had gone out, and the slave owner and his family had gone to sleep. Eventually, his tunnel was completed, and he squeezed himself down the small opening and came up on the other side of the wall. In the dead of night, he crept towards the mansion, slipped the lock on the back door, tiptoed up the staircase, and killed everyone inside. In the morning, locals discovered what had happened, but all the slaves had escaped, and no one was ever charged with the crime. The house lay vacant for years afterwards, and neighbors heard strange groans and shrieks coming from within the empty mansion. Everyone believed it was haunted by the ghost of the slave owner and his family. Nobody dared to enter the menacing-looking building. According to local legend, a man actually did buy the house in 1892 and moved in with his wife and their 3 children. Neighbors saw the family moving in, unloading their belongings from the trucks and carry them into the house. And then, nothing. Neighbors never saw them again. The family never left the house. Neighbors thought it was very odd for a family of 5 to spend all of their time indoors. When one neighbor looked out her bedroom window, all she could make out was the figure of a woman, dressed all in white, standing at the 2nd floor window. The figure wasn't doing anything, just standing there, staring at her. When the neighbors looked again, the following day, she saw the figure again, standing in the same position every day. Whenever the neighbors looked at Mudhouse Mansion, the figure was always there, standing in exactly the same position. On the 10th day, she called the police and asked them to investigate. When policemen broke into the mansion and climbed into the stairs to the second floor, they were greeted by a terrible sight. All 5 family members were hanging lifeless from the ceiling. They were all dressed in white nightgowns. It appeared that they had taken their own lives. The figure the neighbor had seen was the mother of the family, and she hadn't been standing at the window. She had been hanging there for 10 whole days. After that, nobody would live in the house, and it has remained vacant to this day. People still come to visit the old mansion, but the current owner will not allow anyone to enter the property. She's afraid that if anyone goes in, they will never come out alive. Local children call it Mary's house and tell each other that the famous Bloody Mary of legend grew up there. People who live in the area say that on cold, dark nights, you can sometimes see the figure of a woman, all in white, standing motionless at the second floor window.
Wow. They were... Oh, man. Those things must have been so rotten when they found them.
I know. She was like Norman Bates' mom. Just staying still, watching in a window, and then BAM! She's actually dead all along. Such an awesome movie.
I thought we were talking about haunted houses. Last time I checked, Psycho was not about haunted houses.
Yeah, but that was still an amazing movie.
Okay, yeah, it was pretty awesome. Bates was probably always a creeper, though. Can totally see him as that creepy child in every horror movie when he was little.
That's true, though it sucks there's no one around now. Would have been fun to freak some kids out, but doesn't seem like anybody's in there.
Could always try freaking you out. That Bates thing actually reminded me of a little something. Something I heard just recently. A story about a little night intruder. Ever since I was little, I've always had paranormal experiences, but the one that has always stuck with me was when my family and I were on a vacation in Mexico. My grandma lives in the city, and like most houses there, the hallways don't have roofs. So you have to walk outside to get from one room to the other. The only rooms that are connected is the living rooms and the kitchen or dining room with an arc between them, and the 2 rooms on the second floor. I was watching movies a night with my cousins, so we decided why not do a sleepover in the living room. We were watching a comedy because we didn't want our 6-year-old cousin to get scared. It was around 2 a.m. when we decided to call it a night. I slept on the couch, opposite of the ark, and my cousins on the floor. I remember my dad telling me to wake up, and me saying, 5 more minutes. Then he yelled at me to get up, and I did, thinking it was about 9 in the morning, and that it was weird that he yelled at me. When I got up, I didn't see my dad, but I noticed that it was still dark, and the only thing that lit the room was a small flashing light outside my grandma's room, her Guadalupe shrine. I checked my phone and it said it was around like 3:30 in the morning. Then something moving caught my eye. As I kept looking and tried to focus and make out what was moving in the corner of the kitchen, it moved a bit closer to the living room, and I could make out that it was a young boy. At first I thought it was my little cousin, but I looked down and saw that he was sleeping right next to me. I looked up and saw that he had moved closer and that he was now standing at the end of the dining room table. He looked like he was about 6 years old, and he was wearing a white shirt and blue shorts, almost like a school uniform. Then he tilted his head and smiled at me, and just like that, he vanished. I just sat there, trying to take in what I saw for the next 5 minutes, when my little cousin sat straight up, turned to a corner of the room, and yelled out, "Do you see him? Do you? He's right there, looking at us!" My other cousins woke up, startled, and looked at the corner where he had been pointing to, but they saw nothing. They looked at my cousin, and just like he woke up, he fell back again and fell asleep. It creeped my cousins out, and I didn't say anything of what I saw, because I didn't want them to freak out even more. The next morning, my cousin said that he saw a little boy in the corner matching the same description of what I saw. So I told them my experience, which made two of my aunts tell their experiences as well. Turns out, a little boy was killed on his way to school, and he lived in the apartments my grandma had rented, which were located under her house. I also asked my dad if he told me to wake up, and he said that he was asleep all night. I still see the boy from time to time, whenever I visit, mostly on the second floor. Whenever I go upstairs, I see him run from my uncle to my aunt's room, almost like he wants to play. I don't know why, but this story stuck with me. But 5 years later, and I still remember it like it was yesterday, and I know that I will never forget it.